don't see her.
I don't either.
Yeah, she's here. I see her.
I see her name.
Yeah.
Leslie, can you hear us? Oh, here you go. There you go.
Okay.
All right.
Hello, everybody. Welcome, Lauren.
Hi.
Hey, Sarah.
Hey,
Hey, Sarah.
Wait, no, Sarah Castle's not here yet.
Sarah Castle's not here.
Sorry for the issues. I have a new computer and I forgot that we didn't have Zoom set up on this computer, so I had to do that.
Megan, do you think that Sarah's coming?
Let me text her.
Okay. Thank you, Michael. It's good to see everybody.
Yeah.
It is. Oh, there's Susan.
There's Susan.
Okay, here we go.
Oh, I love her
Golden
background.
Gate. That's good.
Stuff.
I like your hair, Beth.
Oh, thank you. It's so long.
It looks beautiful, though.
Thank you.
Mine is crazy long. I haven't had a haircut since February.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I've been to the hairdresser several times.
Should I call the meeting to order? Do you want me to do that?
Sure.
We could start, and Marguerite, maybe you could read our thingamajig.
Yes, hang on.
Agenda.
I'm printing out the agenda as we speak.
Okay.
Okay. I'm going to read this real fast. It is 7:06 p.m. Pursuant.
Sarah's waiting to be let in. Sorry for interrupting, Marguerite.
No, go
Oh,
ahead.
that's okay.
I don't know if Tom is still here.
Tom, are you still there?
Yes, I'll reach out to Sarah myself.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, boilerplate while we're killing time. Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, GLC 30, Section 18, the governor's March 15, 2020 order imposing strict limitation on the number of people that may gather in one place. This meeting of the Southborough Youth Commission will be conducted via remote participation to the greatest extent possible. Specific information in the general guidelines for remote participation by members of the public and or parties with a right and or requirement to attend this meeting can be found on the Town of Southborough's website at southboroughtown.com. For this meeting, members of the public who wish to listen to the meeting may do so in the following manner: southboroughtown.com/remote meetings. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological means. In the event that we are unable to do so, despite best efforts, we will put on Southborough's website an audio or video recording transcript or other comprehensive record of proceedings as soon as possible after the meeting. There.
Thank you. Okay, we call the meeting to order on September 8th at 7 p.m. or 7:08.
It's
08.
7:08. Yep.
Somebody want to second that, or?
I second that.
I don't think we need to vote.
Okay,
Oh,
I think
okay.
we just call it to order.
Okay, good.
we can maybe approve the minutes from last month.
Mhm. I vote to approve the minutes from the August meeting.
Were there
Second,
any corrections on them at all?
I don't think so.
Okay,
I'm
great.
Danny. You did
Okay.
a great job.
It's just that we keep referring to the new hire as an admin, and isn't it an assistant admin or an admin assistant or something like that? It's not, the new position isn't an admin, it's an assistant admin. Is that correct? Is it correct?
Not sure the technical.
I think it,
Title.
title is administrative assistant, so.
Yes, that's
Yeah,
what Sarah
administrative
calls it.
assistant, not assistant admin, administrative assistant. So,
Right.
that's a good point.
Okay, so I move that we accept the minutes as amended.
Second that. Third,
I'll abstain from that.
Okay, Landry, I.
Almost right.
Subatka, aye.
And I,
Sarah Makis, aye.
That's it, right?
Sarah still having trouble getting in?
Yeah, she just said she got a new computer today, so it's not
Same.
quite cooperating.
so you have to download Zoom again. Luckily, my son was here to help.
Right, that's true at my house too.
Otherwise, I'd still be struggling, sadly. Well, can we welcome Lauren,
Good idea.
our
Good
new
idea.
board member, while we're waiting for Sarah? Welcome,
We're so
Lauren.
glad to have you,
Yes.
Lauren.
Lauren,
So excited to have you on board.
I've watched the, when you went before the selectmen, I watched that part of that meeting. I feel like I know you already.
Yeah, you did a great job.
Thanks.
Oh, there she is.
Hi,
Hi, Sarah.
hi. I got a new computer today and
It's really
Tom
nice.
yeah, yeah. I had some technical difficulties, so thank you to Tom for helping me with that. So what did I miss?
We're
We-
welcoming Lauren.
Yes,
Oh, yes.
we already approved the minutes with a slight amendment
Okay,
to administrative assistant. Just
got it.
as opposed to assistant administrator.
Ah, got it.
And that was it.
Okay.
So,
And I assume the pursuant to Governor Baker's business
Yes,
was
yes.
done and all that good
and all of
stuff.
Lori, right. So director's
Okay.
report is, I guess we're ready for director's report.
Okay.
Just in time.
All right. Well, I won't read through all of it. Does anybody have any questions about anything that was on there?
I looked at it earlier. I'm trying to open it now, and I'm having trouble opening it on my other computer here. But
Yeah.
it was about how something about the money. It said something about something hadn't been deposited yet, but it was already added into the total. But then there was a second total, so that was confusing to me.
Yeah, yeah. We had received a refund from Hopkinton Center for the Arts, and
Oh, here I got it
the
now.
check came, so we put it into our spreadsheet so that we knew that the total had changed, but it hadn't yet been deposited into the bank.
Okay, so I'm looking at now, it says the amount in the table already includes the 550, but then it also says once it's the 550 is deposited, it will go up to, the balance will go up.
Yeah, so the total balance that's at that top of that, the total balance that's in the Friends account, I think it said like 40 something. Yeah.
$41,037.81.
That doesn't reflect the additional 550, but the table, the amount that's left in camperships does include the 550. It's just a matter of timing.
So
That-
if you go, so at the bottom where it says that, I'm just trying to understand how to read it. So at the bottom where it says available balance, if you go across and you add those figures up, it should be the same as the figure at the end. Is that correct?
Let me take a second to open it. I'm sorry, I'm in a whole different computer here and I've got
Yeah.
things popping up.
I mean, it's not big, it's not
I
a
think
big
the
deal.
table only reflects the earmarked funds. It doesn't
Yeah.
show the unearmarked funds. I was gonna suggest adding, if you added another row, I guess it would be, or another column.
Mhm.
I'm not sure where it would go. I'll have to think about that, but if you
Yeah.
add that, so you show that you have the remainder, which is about 8,000 of unearmarked funds, then you would total to the 41,587 on the table.
Yep.
That's the difference, because you're showing the 33,000.
Yeah, because 33,000 plus 550 isn't 41,000, so that's how I was.
Yeah, it says total remaining balance of earmarked funds. So you could
Those-
have one more column, Sarah, on the right that would be unearmarked funds. And then the final column would show the total balance of funds. And that would tie to your overall total.
Yep,
But
sure.
I like this table. That looks really good.
I can do that. I was just trying to stay in my lane and just keep track of the grant stuff, but I can certainly add, just figure out whatever the balance is, I assume belongs to Friends and is sort of, I'm just trying to keep track of the things that I know are earmarked, but I can definitely add.
I like this table a lot.
Yeah,
Except when you print, at least on my printer, I can't really read the emergency fund balance too well when I printed it. It comes out really dark.
Well,
okay.
I think that column is finished. That's why it's darkened out.
Yeah.
We're on to the next.
We just finished. We just spent
Oh.
that one down. That's why.
I see. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So on the available balance for the campership, that already includes the 550, correct?
That's correct. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. And the only difference is that it's just not in the bank account yet. So the total that's in Friends will change once that's deposited. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
I put a little asterisk maybe next to that bullet point about the refund check amount, and this table already includes the 550. You could have a little asterisk next to camper ships just to show that.
Okay. I can do that.
And now that the emergency fund balance from 2018-19 has been spent down,
Mm-hmm.
I see what you did where you showed the negative and then you show it coming back in.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it would be best just to show that zeroed out and then show the 218.03 as you already have in the next column coming out. But anyway, that's just logistical. I think this looks great.
Okay. Any other questions or thoughts on it?
I don't think so.
Okay. Does anybody else have the agenda? I'm a little flustered because I don't know. I can't seem to find anything. I'm sorry.
Marguerite, do you have the agenda? Sarah was just asking.
Oh, I found it.
Yeah.
Okay. Never mind. Scratch that. It sounds like everybody already welcomed Lauren, but I had officially put that in the agenda to welcome her to the board as our newest board member.
Did we introduce ourselves? We haven't done that yet.
Right ahead. Whoever would like to start.
Well, she knows me, Leslie Haddon. This is my 5th year on the board, and I'm vice chair this year. Oh, we should have started with Sue.
I'm Sue Butka, and Lauren and I have talked. Welcome to the board. She's got a remarkable background, and I think she's going to make a nice addition to this group. So it's nice to talk to you again, Lauren.
Oh, hi, Lauren. No matter what it says on the screen, I'm Susan Byer, not Bob.
Okay.
My laptop, obviously, but
Hey, I'm gonna go by Bob.
nice to meet you and welcome.
Nice to meet you.
In
I'm
San Francisco
Sarah.
currently.
I am the secretary, the queen of note taking, and I don't know how long I've been on the board. Maybe 8 years, 6. I don't know. It's been a long time, but I've watched the organization grow quite a bit and really impressed in the direction that we're going. So welcome, and we look forward to you working with us.
Thank you.
Hi, Lauren. I'm Beth. My name is Mary Elizabeth, but I go by Beth. Most people don't even know that Mary is my first name. But we have to be legal here. So, but welcome. Nice to meet you. I'm looking forward to when we can all really be in the same room together. This is the next best thing. So we're fortunate to have this technology. So I don't know how long I've been on the board. It's been
Here's
a while.
Bob.
Hey, Bob.
That's fine.
Marguerite,
You're
I'm muted. Yep, here I
you
am. I'm Marguerite Landry, formerly muted. I think I've been on the board for 3 years. Have I? Is it 3? I don't know. It all goes back in the mist of time. Anyway, welcome aboard. We're glad to have you, and I think we're a pretty mellow group.
I agree. Is that everybody? I think so.
Everyone.
Megan?
Have you met Megan?
I don't know if we've met. I feel like I've seen you in the office, but I'm Megan Island. I'm the assistant director.
Okay.
Of the services.
Nice to
So,
meet you.
welcome.
Lauren, I have told Megan and Shannon several times that they do not have to come to meetings, but they like this group so much that they continue to come. So Shannon actually would be here typically, but she is taking some vacation time this week. Her boys are going to be going to school remotely, and she's trying to get them ready and settled and all of that good stuff. So okay, well, welcome. I have, we added administrative assistant position appointment to this. That was in the hopes that we would be in a position to make an appointment to this position, but unfortunately, we are tied up. So we're not quite at that point yet. We have conducted some second interviews, and we are working towards discussions on what happens next. So unfortunately, we'll have to table that until another time. I think what will probably happen, our next board meeting isn't until October. I really hope that we're not pushing this out until October. So that position is appointed by this board. So the hope would be that we'd be closer to making some kind of a decision and an offer for this position, in which case perhaps we can schedule a special board meeting just to appoint that candidate. So so sorry we couldn't make that happen for today. Junior board members. I think somebody brought this up at the last meeting. Is that right? Lauren,
Yes.
just to fill you in.
I think I did.
Okay, historically, we have had youth join us at board meetings. Last year was probably a record number of young people at the table. I think at one point we had 6 of them. They didn't all come every single meeting, but and then once we moved to remote meetings, things kind of fell off of our radar, unfortunately, and a couple of them graduated. And so I think this was brought up because there was a question about whether we wanted to have junior board members again for this upcoming year.
Yes. I think we just wanted to decide whether it made sense to include them in the Zoom meetings.
My
Well-
vote is not to. I think that the kids are pretty zoomed out, and I think they're really busy and trying to focus on their schoolwork and everything else. I think it would just be another, and I think it's just not a format that is amenable to getting young people's input. So that's just my gut feel. I think they're totally overwhelmed right now.
And they were such a remarkable group, that
Yeah.
whole group of kids. I miss seeing them once a month. So,
They were great.
but it would be different over Zoom. It would not be the same. I feel like they couldn't contribute as much in this format like they used to.
And we have, because they're minors and they'd be on YouTube. I don't know how that.
That's a good point too, Beth.
A big problem. They would have to get parental permission, I think. So
Well, I know Megan continues to be involved in the youth council. I think one of the reasons why we wanted youth on the board or contributing to the conversation was to get their input and perspective and help sort of guide our discussions and the direction of the department. We do still have the opportunity to touch base with young people in Southborough via the youth council and other means. Just may not make sense to do that in the context of board meetings right now. And we could make a concerted effort to try to get their input. So if the board were, had specific questions around a particular topic, we could certainly try to, conduct a focus group or something like that to make that to find out the answers to our questions.
I'm sure that population has a lot to say right now, and I'm sure they're under a lot of pressure. And I think we would get a lot of feedback right now. That's important, but I just don't feel comfortable with this format. So if we had other options, maybe smaller little focus groups. How are you holding up during the pandemic? Or how are you managing your coursework or family issues or whatever might come up right now? Might be important to get their input and how we might facilitate and support them in the community. So.
And I also think we never really said goodbye to that other group. All of a sudden, it just stopped.
Right.
Megan, have you spoken with any of those kids?
Had to unmute myself. No, I don't think I've been we actually, Shannon and I reached out to some of them recently for a focus group for something else, and I haven't heard back from any of them. And I had reached out, some of them did Project Friend and had reached out to some of them in like April, May about Project Friend stuff, and I didn't hear back from most of them. So I think they just had a lot going on and probably still have a lot going on. So I don't know if Shannon heard back from any of them for the focus group. I was actually just thinking, I was like, oh, I wonder if Shannon heard back. But I didn't hear back from any of the ones that I had emailed.
A couple of them graduated, I know.
Yeah, there were several that I did not reach out to because the focus group was for high schoolers. So the ones who had graduated, I was like, oh, I won't email those ones. But yeah, so I unfortunately haven't heard back from them.
Okay.
Could we offer to them that they could participate in the youth commission? I mean, the youth council instead, or is that not appropriate because it's majority are younger?
Yeah, the majority it's middle school. And actually we had some 9th graders who we were hoping would stay on, who have decided to move on. The difference between a 6th grader and a 9th grader is momentous. So I think the hope that we could keep the two groups together, I think the 9th graders are like, these kids are so young, that they really are ready to kind of like move on to bigger and better things at Algonquin. We kept saying, if you want to try to start a high school chapter of the youth council, let us know. So we're hopeful that we'll be able to kind of stay in touch with the youth council kids that are going into 9th grade who are really active, and that maybe even if it's just them giving us ideas for things that they might see a need for, that we'll at least stay in contact with them, because these kids were very active and really enthusiastic about the youth council. But I think just the dynamics of like how different the like incoming group of the new youth council kids were, they were kind of just like, all right, I'm ready to graduate from this group. So we were disappointed to see them move on because we were hoping we could hang on to them. But we get that they're ready to try new things and explore new opportunities.
I think theoretically we could start a high school level youth council chapter, but I feel like the beginning of the year is such a big transition, even under normal circumstances, that it's the kind of thing that I think we'll need. I don't know that we want to touch it this year. And even if things go back to normal, it's the kind of thing that we probably would want to start once everybody's a little more settled in, because these guys are just transitioning to high school and it's such an exciting time. And, like Megan said, they're excited to try new things. So, but
what if we were to reach out once a month, or I could be the person to do that when Marguerite asks for agenda items, just in case there's any pertinent issues that they would like for us to talk about at our meeting, and they could give a little, brief synopsis of what's going on. I don't know if that would be helpful. Obviously, they wouldn't be at the meeting. They wouldn't be participating in the board meeting, but I don't know how you feel about that.
Could it be something that routinely is done at the current youth council to ask, say, there's a board meeting coming up. Can you guys, think of what would be helpful for,
I'm smiling because I don't think we'll get the same thing that we were getting from our high school level members.
Is there a similar group at the high school? I mean, I know we don't have a youth council there, but I don't know. Is there any kind of
No, I mean, they have like student council, but the student council is very different. What the student council does is different.
Can I make a suggestion that I think this is very well worth talking about? I again think that now is going to be a really difficult time to strategize, and that maybe after school is in session for a month, or maybe we put this off a couple of agendas. I just think that this year, I emailed school principals today to say, hey, and I realize principals are different than kids, but I just feel like everybody has no idea what their schedules are, what they're doing. And so we wouldn't even necessarily know which groups to hit up for, focus groups or information. I don't even know.
What is their first day back? October what?
September 16th for remote and
For
October
remote.
6th for in-person learning.
Okay.
Yeah.
How are they doing are they just doing Zoom groups there for, like in terms of the group activities that you guys deliver? Are you doing them via Zoom or?
We've been doing the youth council over Zoom
Yeah.
all summer, and that's what we are going to continue doing.
How
So-
are the kids? I mean, are they okay at participation or is this?
It's dwindled.
Yeah.
I mean, right away we had a lot more, but it's also the summer,
Yeah.
so we'll see what happens. But it's again, like Sarah was saying, I think it's very hard to predict what is going to happen. We're going to try to recruit more kids, but I think it's really hard to predict what kind of participation we're going to have, because who knows what their schedules are going to be like. And we had a meeting today, and the girls who were there were like, well, what day do we think will be best? I'm like, who knows what anyone's going to be doing, if anyone's going to be doing after school stuff or after school anything. And so I think it's really hard for people to really plan what their participation and stuff is going to be right now.
But definitely, Leslie, I hear you asking these questions, and I think others would agree that it's a valuable thing to have the input of young people.
Yeah.
And so certainly something that we want to keep on our radar, but perhaps postpone for a little while. Even some of our basic services, we don't know how we're going to be delivering those right now. So
You're not doing anything in person, right? You're not doing any counseling in person yet?
not right now, no.
Okay.
We are working on putting something into place so that if we need to, we have that option, but we don't have the option as of right now. So we're working on creating a informed consent form that would a person would have to sign, basically saying they understand the risks associated with coming to see us in person. They would have to agree to sit in designated spots, and just there's a whole bunch of guidelines they would have to follow. So they have to agree to all of those. So we're working on it so that we have that option. But sometimes, it feels like by the time we finally get that taken care of, it's going to be winter time, and
And then you can't be inside, right? Or you're not going to want to be inside.
Yeah.
So I'd like to move that we postpone inviting a youth group or junior board members, but for the time being, we can always revisit it at any time we choose to.
Can I just add to that? I think we should communicate something to the junior board members to that effect and give them the reasoning so that they know what's.
Well, I would like to say, Leslie, I was going to say this earlier, they are not assumed to be the same junior board members each year. Just because they did it last year, I don't think that we should assume that they are. We've typically done revisited this every year to say, would you like to do it again? Would you, sometimes people don't. Sometimes we're conducting new interviews for new junior board members. So I don't think that
Okay,
they're
I thought if we
expecting-
brought them in as, last year we got some younger board members, but I thought the thought process was if we brought them in for juniors, that they'd serve as seniors as well.
Yes, that is the hope. But there was no communication to them this year. Everything kind of just fell apart. So I think that could happen. So maybe at the very least, we need to reach out to them to just say, really sorry about, you know, I think that all of them are going to understand, certainly, but sorry that everything kind of came to a screeching halt. And, you know, even for us, it took us a while to actually conduct board meetings, even online. But here's where things stand. If we're in a position to have you come back, you know, so maybe just simply communicating to them and showing our appreciation to them would be a nice thing to do.
Yes.
Okay.
So we need a second and a vote.
I second the motion.
Aye.
Hi, Sarah Micus.
Aye, Susan Butka.
Hi, Susan Byer.
Landry, I.
Aye, Beth Dombacher.
Warren Ritchie, aye.
Leslie had an eye.
Great. Okay. Friends, Leslie, do you have anything to say?
Well, I will. Would you like me to speak about the Rotary Club and what they're doing, or did you
Sure.
want to do that? Okay, I'll do my best. Feel free to jump in. I'm not sure how to pronounce her last name. Liz
Caprillion.
Caprillion
Mhm.
approached Sarah, and we had a Zoom meeting with the three of us plus Shannon, I believe, a week or so ago. Rotary Club received a grant, and in order to access those funds, they have to do some fundraising, and they'd like to give those funds to the Friends of group, our Friends of group. But in order to do that, they have to they have to do some fundraising. And Liz came up with an idea of a campaign on a GoFundMe page of Cash for Camper Ships. I believe the full title was Cash for Camper Ships, Building a Foundation for Our Youth's Future. Is that right, Sarah? And they're planning to launch this campaign. I think it's going to be over the next couple of weeks. She was going to put together something to put out there on GoFundMe, and she's going to run it by our Friends of group tomorrow night.
She's going to join the meeting tomorrow?
Yeah, we're going to have a
Awesome.
meeting on Zoom tomorrow night with the Friends of group. And she's going to be joining that meeting so that she can get people's feedback she's very enthusiastic and just wants feedback on how we feel about rolling out this campaign. And,
That's great news. That's wonderful news.
yeah, it's approximately, she wasn't certain of the grant amount, but she thinks it's like somewhere between 1,000 and 1,500. And she felt that if we were to raise even a minimum of, say, 200 through this GoFundMe account or GoFundMe campaign, that they would then be able to turn this money over to the Friends Up group. Not sure I'm explaining that as clearly. I know I'm not explaining it as clearly as she did, but that's my general understanding. But she was just very excited, and a lot of the Rotarians were very excited and wanted to upload pictures of themselves going to camp. And she asked for some testimonials from Shannon, and Shannon gave a great description of our existing campership program. And there was going to be, she also was reaching out to Main Street Bank to see if they could potentially do some sort of matching for a piece of the donations that we received through the GoFundMe.
And
it
they've
wouldn't be-
donated to us before, I think. Main Street has, the Main Street Bank has, I think,
Okay.
donated to us before.
So
Maybe not through Rotary,
that
but
was part of her strategy, you know, maybe say in the next 3 days or the next 50 people that donate, Main Street Bank will match up to X dollars. And then I guess they had some raffle items that they were also going to raffle off. So at any rate, it was great news, very exciting. And it was, the Rotarians are taking this on. So they just wanted our input and want our input from the Friends group. But aside from that, there's really not a whole lot we have to do. I mean, Shannon obviously had to provide them with some a specific write-up, but aside from that, they're just kind of taking this on. So yeah.
Yeah.
Anything I missed, Sarah Castle?
No, I was just gonna say, you guys might recall, we actually talked about this a while back, maybe. That, you know how Rotary does the food truck festival every year. So they had Liz Caprillion had approached us back in February or January maybe, and just said, we have, you know, one of the things we do as Rotarians is service. And last year for the food truck festival, we did a collection of socks for veterans. And while people loved doing it, the feedback we got is that we'd like to do something more local, help our own community. And so she came to me asking if I had any ideas of how they, you know, what they could do. We ran through a number of things, and she really gravitated towards the campership program. I explained to her also that the funding for our campership program is grant funded for the most part, and that the Southborough Community Fund would really like to move away from funding that program so much. And so this kind of a fundraiser would help us build a foundation or a budget basically for future years. So they were all excited. They were going to have out on the field, they were going to have a tent set up with like backpacks and sleeping bags and all that fun stuff to draw people's attention over to their table. And then just like everything else with COVID, the plans fell through. But anyway, they, as Leslie had mentioned, they had applied for some additional grants from and I don't know if I'm remembering this part right, but through the corporate office of Rotary, and
I think so.
And they had received those funds prior to the food truck festival even happening. And so they were sort of obligated then to still follow through on a service project. So they've moved all of this Cash for Camperships campaign online. So this has actually been in the works for quite a while. It just had to change formats. And so it may not yield the same level of excitement or draw that it would have if it happened at the food truck festival, but we still very much appreciate their efforts to try to help in any way they can. And it's really helpful for the campership program because we don't know what camp's going to look like, and you know, and again, the future of the program, we especially felt this year the importance of the campership program because there's so many families who depend on having a reliable, safe, and enriching place for their children to go while they're working during the summer months if their children are too young to stay at home or, you know, need structure for one reason or another. So I think we really felt that this summer when kids weren't able to go to camp. But So that's all I would add to that description. So, so you will probably see Cash for Camperships online at some point in the near future.
Great.
Anything else, Leslie, with regard to Friends?
I don't think so. I think I'm just going to ask the Friends group if they have any other ideas on fundraising that could potentially be done virtually. And hopefully by next May, maybe we could do another plan for a May of 2021 plan for the community shopping, shop with a purpose that we had planned for the community house in line with Mental Health Awareness Month. But obviously that's up in the air at the moment. So.
Okay. Does anybody else have any questions? Everybody's so quiet this evening. It's late. We're not used to meet. We've been meeting in the afternoon recently. Holiday giving is on the agenda. I touched base with Shannon, and really this is on the agenda just to tell you our preliminary thoughts on holiday giving, and also we welcome suggestions. Logistically, it's going to be a challenging program to pull off this year, or maybe actually it could be really simple, but we obviously need to limit exchanging of things. We could potentially see a larger number of participating families this year and fewer folks who are in a position to make donations to the program. So every year, you know, Shannon's approach is she's collecting applications of families who are interested in participating in the program, and then she's also getting in touch with donor groups. So she's collecting information from both sides and trying to match up the needs with organizations, families, individuals that want to donate. And so it's always this like constant balancing act. So we don't know what that balancing act is going to look like this year, because we might have more folks in need and less people able to donate. The other thing, logistically speaking, it's going to be challenging because typically we are collecting a large volume of items from donor groups and sorting them and then redistributing all of those things back to families, which I have a sneaking suspicion the Board of Health would probably suggest we not do that this year if we can avoid it. So one idea that Shannon and I were kicking around was that donations would be monetary only, and that we could use those funds to purchase items online and have those sent directly to people's houses. So we wouldn't actually have to handle anything. And that we would just use funds to purchase things and have those things sent directly to people's homes.
Sarah, I had a question about that. If somebody isn't usually receiving as part of the holiday giving program, do you foresee that more people will be requesting to do that, and how would they go about that?
So I was going to kind of ask a similar thing, because lots of times the school nurse identifies, you know, new people.
Yep.
So,
yep.
So
the way that we've been trying to do things in the more recent years is historically the school nurses were a liaison between us and a family. Sometimes that's still the case depending on the situation, but we've been trying more and more to make a direct connection with families. So what we, so sort of cutting out a middle person, and we find that to be beneficial because there could be other services that we provide that families might benefit from knowing about. So having that direct relationship is actually preferable. So the way we've been trying to do things is get in touch with the school nurses to say, here's our application for the holiday giving program this year. Can you please send it to any family who you think would be interested? So they will send it out, and then the families send it directly back to us. And so then we then begin our own direct relationship with that particular family.
Is there anything on My Southborough, or for instance, if someone is watching this video right now, what would they do if they felt that they might need some help at holiday time?
Well, the application's not out yet. So this is the preliminary discussion. So there's an application that goes out every year.
Yeah.
Where families fill out who's in your family. For every child in the family, what are 2 things they want, 2 things they need, what's their favorite color, so on and so forth. So there's an application, and certainly this year, it might make sense, typically because this is a program for families with school-age children. We work together with the schools. Basically, the families that they are sending this to are families that qualify, that's a new word.
The Australian, right?
it.
It sounds really cute, actually. I just qualified something. Ooh, I hear a feedback. So I lost my train of thought. So they're sending this, they have a list of kids who go to their school who qualify for free and reduced lunch. And so they're sending them to all of those families, but they also know of situations that are special circumstances. Maybe there's a parent who has, a new diagnosis of some kind, they're not well. So there's a number of different reasons. So it's typically gone out through the schools because it's for families with school-age children. There have been some exceptions to that, depending on a person's circumstances. So certainly we welcome people to qualify or to apply, if they are experiencing some hardship of some kind. But to answer your question, Marguerite, the application has not gone out. And if somebody were watching right now, or if we did something on My Southborough, we would encourage them to be in touch with Shannon. And she would get them the application or fill it out with them over the phone.
Okay, thank you. Because I foresee there may be more people in requiring some.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely.
Do we have
Oh, go ahead.
families that self-identify, or is it just via referral?
Nope, somebody can reach out to us, and if
Put the application on our web page or through the town page or something like that.
Yep, we could do that. It's one of those tricky things that certainly we don't have hard and fast rules about income verification, but certainly people could come out of the woodwork and be like, oh yeah, I definitely need help at the holidays. Sometimes I look at the program, I'm like, I would love some help. But so we do have some level of income verification that we're looking for, or this is where having the school liaison is helpful, because if we don't know this family and somebody calls us and we have no relationship with them, how do we A, verify that they are in fact Southborough residents, and B, how do we verify their situation? So that's why the eligibility for free and reduced lunch really helps, because they've already applied for that. They already qualify for that program, and so they would automatically qualify for this one. So, we certainly want to be open to helping anybody that needs it, and at the same time, we want to try to be careful not to have all of these conversations where we have to play detective, and we want to maintain good relationships with residents and not be investigating them if we can help it. If that
So
makes sense.
could you work with the food pantry?
That's another area. Thank you, Beth. That's a good thing to bring up. The food pantry actually has a holiday giving program too, but they refer Southborough residents over to our holiday giving program, and then they continue to
They
offer
do that.
holiday assistance for non-Southborough residents. So they are also another referral source.
How about the churches also in town? Is there?
Yeah, actually, the churches are a big donor group. St. Anne's, Pilgrim Church is another donor group, so they are also well aware of our group. But it feels like what you guys are saying is that we should probably consider doing a little bit more advertising for this program. Maybe not broadcasting it all over town, but perhaps selectively reaching out and reminding certain contact folks that it exists. And
Sarah,
yeah.
my other recommendation is if you are going to reach out more and advertise more, it might not hurt to reach everyone to the extent that I've lived here for a number of years. I keep sending my holiday money to Hopkinton because I didn't know we had a program. So the more you can get that out so it's in people's minds, okay, this is what I'm doing this year. I'm donating it to Southborough's gift giving. Just my suggestion.
Yeah, no, it's a good one.
It's a good one.
Whether it's they're in need or maybe they're in a position that they can donate, people may not be aware that it exists.
Great idea.
Yes, yeah, wonderful.
And so do you identify that lady's voice? Do you identify people like if they come for help with like heating or stuff like that? Is that a way that you can identify people? Or if they, apply for, I don't know.
Program.
Yeah, programs that Shannon helps people apply for.
I do know that she routinely, we have a sheet of paper that summarizes all of our need-based services and gives a little bit of information about each of them. So whenever somebody's coming in for any of those programs, they're given that sheet of paper to let them know about the other things that they could qualify for.
You know, Sarah, I'm thinking there's a lot of things wrong with what we're all having to go through now with COVID, but one really good thing is that our mission is out there on YouTube after this meeting. You know, it's really good to get information out there. Like Lauren was saying, she didn't realize that the giving program would have taken, a donation. Neither did I. Embarrassed to say. So
we do put it on my Southborough every year, but I don't know how else to get it out there.
Some of the, at our preschool, we have the giving tree where we post the gifts. So I think a lot of the schools support it too. So other community groups.
So
Is the preschool opening, Sarah?
Yes, it is.
Wow.
I know. Yes, we have conferences this week, and then we officially open at reduced enrollment. We only offered it to kids who are essentially going to kindergarten next year, and to working families that really need it. So yeah, it'd be interesting. I've got my PPE, my hazmat.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
Yikes.
So logistically speaking, beyond doing more to advertise for both donors' sake and for families who might be in need, logistically speaking, does anybody have any additional thoughts on how to carry out this program beyond the idea we've had to this point, which is, taking monetary donations and then purchasing things to send to buy online and sent to people.
Well, maybe taking the monetary donations as easy as possible for people who don't want to write the check and put it in the mail and put a stamp on it. Is there an electronic option?
PayPal.
Yeah, it could go through the Friends PayPal. So we don't have any money in our operating budget for holiday giving. This would all live with Friends. So to date, we have, so the one thing that we do every year that we started doing more recently was putting a cutoff date. Because we had people coming in with donations like all the way up until, you know, the end of December, honestly, after, you know, once we're into a new calendar year. Yes. Yes, yeah. So we made a cutoff date where we said anything that comes in after this date is going to roll over into the next year. So we're already coming into this year with $971 from donations from last year, which is great. So it's just going to look very, very different. People traditionally really like to go shopping, especially for things for children. And they, you know, they get this idea in their mind of what their, you know, what this experience is going to be like for the child when they wake up, or the parent. Sometimes people are buying things for the parent of that family. So I think it's, you know, just going to be a little more difficult to sell with people this year, perhaps, maybe not.
I don't think it's going to be an issue. I think everybody's kind of done a paradigm shift regarding their shopping habits and holiday expectations. I do think that looking at the projections, I think will most likely be closed down again by that time. So I doubt anybody will be going to the mall anyway. And I think families are going to be struggling trying to figure out their own holidays. So I think pushing a button would be fantastic.
Okay.
Well, we can certainly talk about it tomorrow night in the Friends meeting
Yes.
as well, to see if anyone has any ideas.
Yeah, another thing you can do is set up a donation account through Amazon. I think they do those fundraising kind of things where people just go in and donate directly to Amazon, and you can pretty much buy anything on Amazon. So that might be a good way to do it too. And most people are using Amazon a lot these days. So just another thought.
So, and you can buy Amazon gift cards. So, you know, I think this year would be a lot of gift cards, and where the parents figure out.
Yeah. That's the only thing I was wondering if, you know, because again, we're trying to not actually have to handle a volume of anything, nor do we want to hand it over. So maybe you guys know if you can order gift cards online to have sent to people.
Pretty sure you can.
Yeah.
Avery,
I wouldn't be opposed to that either, but I don't want to.
Maybe you can order bulk, but I don't know if you could order, you know, 100 Amazon gift cards to 100 different addresses. I mean, I don't know. I don't know.
We want to avoid having it all come to us and then us distributing it. So we want to be able to just.
I think you can do electronic gift cards to pretty much everybody right now. It goes through their email though, so you would have to have email accounts.
This is so sad. That
I think I'll just do this for my family Christmas.
I think it would be an enormous task to have to order everything and have it shipped to the right address. Even harder than having all the stuff in the office and having to divide it out. I think it would be more work.
Quite possibly. I just wonder.
It won't be bulky, but it will be more coordination.
I think the administrative assistant type person could be helpful in that. Might be able to get an intern, a high school intern. All they have to do is, you know, go shopping online. Who doesn't want to do that? I'll do it.
It does.
And unfortunately, we can't really help with this, right? Because we can't know the families that things are being sent to, right? That just you guys can know that.
Well, certainly, we will be starting to work on this now. We usually wait till October, but I think we're going to start working on it now since it'll be different. And Lisa Purpura, I don't know who knows Lisa, but she used to, years and years ago, help run this program and has stayed on as a volunteer over the years. And just loves this program so much. I know Shannon plans to reach out to her to just find out, what thoughts she has also. So we will keep you posted on that. I'm just keeping an eye on the time. Jason Malinowski from the Capital Planning Committee is hoping to join us around 8:30. To talk about the plans for the South Union building. So the only thing that's also on the agenda that we should chat about is the Laurie Sugarman Whittier Wellness Award. And I know I skipped out of our last meeting and wasn't there to hear the conversation. I did listen in afterward. One thing that I wanted to say was that I know the conversation was, should we solicit nominations from the community? We could take that avenue, but I would also encourage the group to consider us making a nomination. You guys really. If you remember last year, even just amongst ourselves, people came up with 2 or 3 nominees for this award. Lauren, just to fill you in on what this is. So typically for Mental Health Awareness Month, we have an event called Celebrate Wellness. And it's all about positivity and promoting health and highlighting different ways, different things that are going on in the community. We have a community art show and we have music and food. And of course it didn't happen this year. And so, but we started last year an award in honor of the former director before me, Laurie Sugarman Whittier, to recognize somebody who has made a lot of contributions to a number of different things. It could be a mental health advocate. It could be somebody who is working very hard to help keep the community healthy and well. I have to look at the criteria again. Well, we came up with 3 different criteria, and the person that could, is nominated could be all 3 of those things or just one of them. But we solicited nominations in the community, and then board members themselves also had some nominees. And then the board decided who to award this to. And then at the event, we presented an award and gave a little speech and all that fun stuff. So we didn't have the event this year, but I brought it up for our last meeting because there's just a number of people that are sort of on my mind as folks who are working incredibly hard this year to keep the wheels on the bus almost. That, things are very chaotic and stressful, and people are doing a lot, whether it be for youth or for seniors or just the general population, to try to keep people healthy and well. And so I thought it would be a missed opportunity to not still nominate somebody and recognize them for their hard work. So basically going back to that, we could solicit nominations, which will take some time. Conversely, if the board felt like coming up with some nominations themselves, I'm sure that conversation could be fruitful in some way. So that's all I wanted to say. I'll be quiet now.
Do we have to make a decision now?
No.
When
I
do we
think
usually nominate? That's like a spring thing, right?
the event is in May, so long past,
Yeah.
I would say that you'd want to do it before the end of the calendar year so that you have a 2020 nominee.
Yeah. And we don't have an empty space on the plaque.
I know the plaque will just skip. It'll go from 2019 to whichever comes next.
We'd have a
We
little.
want to skip 2020 anyway.
I know we want to skip 2020, but we can't. We can't.
Well, my thought is that perhaps we keep it, we nominate a few people or a couple or whatever, one person among our group. I think if we open it up to the community, I don't know. I have no idea how to do that. I mean, I guess we could reach out through the schools and churches and, you
And I
know,
do think they have so much to think about now anyway. It might be better. Normally, I would say we should reach out to the community, but I think we could come up ourselves with a list of people.
Yes, I agree. They've got too much on their plate already, the schools.
Well, why don't we do this? I have the nomination form from last year. I could
Okay.
send it to the board and then you all could think about it and we could have in time for our next board meeting some possible nominees to talk about.
That sounds great.
Sounds good.
great idea. I already have somebody.
Same as last year?
I was gonna say.
Sarah?
I nominate.
I remember who you talked about last year. So.
Yes, that's right.
I like Bridget from the dump.
I like her too. She's very nice.
Is she still there? She wasn't there the last few times.
Yeah, she's still there.
Yeah, yeah, all the people.
Handing out,
Okay, remember, everybody, we're on YouTube.
oh yeah, and we don't want to spill the beans.
Well, that's gonna be the difficult. Do we need to have an executive session?
Yes.
In order
Yes.
to talk about this?
True.
Okay, I'll at least send nominee forms to people.
So is it one per person, one nominee per person? Like, are we gonna end up with, 7 different?
I don't know. Because there might be somebody here who has nobody that they can think of that they want to nominate. So it almost gives us sort of a conversation start, a place to start from. So maybe we say cap it at 3 people. Hopefully nobody's nominating more than 3 people.
Oh yeah, that's plenty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does that feel comfortable? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
And Sarah, should we officially announce to everybody so that I can keep it straight? We're meeting the 2nd Tuesday of every month?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
We should make a list of the meeting dates for the remainder of FY21.
Yeah, that would be lovely because I have it for the 6th of October and that's wrong.
I appreciate everybody's flexibility with that. It's certainly easier to get the director's report done with a week's worth of time versus like sometimes it's like a day or 2. So thank you for that.
When I read that, I thought, oh my goodness, why didn't she tell us?
Well, it's only been so long that I've been doing the director's report and I'm trying to be as informative as possible, but I've made the process kind of lengthy. So I'm saying so now.
I was thinking that, for me, it doesn't have to be week 1, 2, 3, 4. It could be like week 2, 3, 4, and 1, or week 3, 4.
Right.
It doesn't have to be the whole month.
I know.
Part of 1 month and the next one.
I know. It's all relative, right? I could have done the last week of the month and then the, first 3 of the next month, but
Well, wouldn't we want to keep it the same every month so we know?
No, we're just talking when we originally were choosing a new date. that
Okay,
Beth was saying, you know, it would have been okay if the director's report was not months one,
Oh, I
weeks 1
see.
through 4. You
Oh,
know,
got
that
it.
it
Yes.
could have been data on the last week
Okay.
of the month.
Oh,
not
I
the
see.
first
Yeah.
3 of
So
the
our next meeting is October 13th,
13th.
right?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
And we're going to carry that through 2021 as well?
Let's at least do that until the end of, I think that makes sense too, but we'll
I
all
do
just
too- I do
touch
too.
base-
That's
touch base with each
wonderful.
other
Yes.
at the
Okay.
end.
And we might move our friends meeting, Lauren and Sue, just because now they're on the same week, and that might be too much for everybody, or the 3 of us. So we
So
can
we
talk
would-
about that.
Okay, that sounds great. That sounds
All
great.
right.
We're ending our conversation a little early before Jason joins us. Does anybody have anything else to say about any of the other agenda items that we've already discussed?
I was curious about the amount of that is not earmarked from the Friends of Balance. Can that be used for holiday giving if necessary?
That is not my call. I would say that that's something that can be discussed at the Friends meeting for sure about how, you know, I think the role that I would play in attending a Friends meeting would be to come and say, these are all the needs that are on the table, and that it would be up to the Friends of group to make a decision about what they want to support using whatever the remaining balance is.
Can
That's
I
why-
ask you,
Yeah.
so last year, how much money did we use in the holiday giving program? Do you remember what that number was
Yes.
off the top of your head?
Not off the top of my head. Let me see if I can.
1,700 maybe?
Oh, under 2,000?
It's hard because so
People
it's all
donate.
items.
Yeah.
Yeah. People
Okay.
donated lots and lots of items. And so whatever else we needed, we would buy with money.
Oh, I see.
It's not going to be the case
Right.
this time around.
Mm.
So, and I can't seem to access what I'm
That's
looking for.
fine. That's fine,
quickly.
Sarah.
Okay. All right. Tom told me earlier to yell for him. He said he's usually within earshot. Tom, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Oh, go look at that. Do you see if Jason is in the
Yeah,
audience?
he is not.
He is not. Okay.
No.
All right. He might be coming on at 8:30 then. Thank you.
People, I'm sorry, I have to go attend to another Zoom meeting. Would you forgive me if I left you?
That's
okay,
all right. You do
Margaret.
what you have to do. You do what you
Fill
have
me
to
in,
do.
please. Okay, thanks.
Okay.
Okay,
Bye,
bye-bye.
Marguerite.
Bye, Marguerite.
Bye, everybody.
Well, this is a pickle. What do we do now?
So
Sarah?
how's the furniture moving going?
Oh.
Furniture moving?
On the director's report, you said you were moving furniture.
Oh, yes. I was like, who's moving furniture? Yes. So we have the lovely Lisa Avery Peck, who is our new graduate clinician who's joining us this year. In order for, so this hasn't been an issue up to this point because Megan has her own office space. I have my own and Shannon has hers. And so we can be, we haven't been, we've been kind of rotating our attendance physically at work. But we technically can all be there at the same time because we each have our own office. As long as we're not meeting with each other or, you know, my room is okay because it's much more spacious, but in order for 2 people to have a workspace in one room, we had to make sure that they were at least 6 feet apart from one another while working. So we had to get rid of the furniture that was our waiting room. we had to move the entire reception desk up against the wall, facing the wall, so that 2 people could work in there safely without having to be encased in a plastic bubble. So we have rearranged that so that whenever we are ready to hire our administrative assistant, we will have a workspace set up for them. Lisa has started coming in. She's been working with Megan on some groups, not groups starting yet, but the development of some of them. She and I have been going through orientation together over the last couple of weeks, and hopefully by tomorrow or Thursday, we will finish all of that. And she's already gotten started with contacting a couple of residents, and so things are just going to be really tricky this year because not going into the schools. I don't know if we're going to be in a position to see kids during the school day, if they'll, have a student go into a private classroom with a computer and talk to us there. I don't think they even know what the kids' schedules are quite yet either. So it's hard to say whether they'll even have availability to be seen during the school day. But fortunately, Lisa is very flexible in that she is not trying to do her internship and work at the same time. So she can work evenings and some during the day. So hopefully we'll be able to make that work. And I know Megan, I'll give a shout out to Megan because she's working really hard too with seeing people in the evening and putting in long days. So, but yeah, other than that, we're getting started in the fall. Normally this time of year, we'd be going into all of the schools for open houses. That's not happening this year, obviously. So I'm not sure what this fall is going to look like.
Oh, so odd.
Yeah. Are you guys, maybe are any of you seeing things, hearing things, feeling things yourselves that you think are worth noting? I've been having a lot of conversations with youth and family service directors in other towns, and sadly, there's been a rash of suicides recently. 2 kids, one in Shrewsbury and one in Hopkinton, and then also some others that weren't kids, but that's a big concern of ours that we've been talking a lot about. So I am worried about that, especially as we go into the winter months. It's dark and gray.
It's already getting darker, earlier. And I had the opportunity this weekend to spend some time with friends of mine's teenage kids.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to ask them what it was going to be like to go back 2 days a week,
Mm-hmm.
and how they felt about it. And it's messy for every age group. It's
Mm-hmm. Oh,
Jason has arrived.
Jason has arrived.
awesome.
Tom, what do we do? That's wonderful news, but I don't know what to do with that information.
I've just promoted him up to panelist, so he should
Oh,
be popping in.
wonderful. How exciting. Jason, are you there?
I'm
There
here.
you are. Hi.
Hi, Jason.
How are you?
Hello.
Good. How are you?
Good, how are
Good,
you?
thanks.
Good. Thanks so much for taking the time out as somebody who has small children across the hall from me right now who are trying to go to bed. I can totally appreciate how challenging.
I can't guarantee it'll be quiet, but
That's okay. That's okay. So I know, just to fill the rest of the board in, Sue had brought this up at the last board meeting that Jason, on behalf of the Capital Planning Committee, had reached out about our needs spatially, and then that brought up some conversation amongst board members with questions. I did reach out to Jason and let him know what the needs were of the department in terms of space. But he had actually reached out and made the suggestion to join us at this next board meeting to answer any questions. I don't know if there's been any updates since then that you want.
I can give you a brief update if that would be a good place to start.
Sure.
That'd be great.
So as was kind of previewed in my email to Sue and Sarah, we are analyzing all the town facilities, both town-owned and school, looking at land and buildings for both acquisition, renovation, disposal opportunities. And one of the items that has come along quicker than some of the other items we have in our workflow is South Union School. And where we're at in the process is we're currently obtaining an appraisal for South Union. Given the historic nature of it, we've also consulted with the Historic Commission about what it would take to maintain the facade of the building, but yet also making it attractive to a potential buyer. Obviously, the sale of any real estate in town is subject to a vote at town meeting. So first and foremost, the Board of Selectmen have to be supportive of it and put it on the warrant. And then us all as voters have to then go and vote to authorize them to dispose of the property. So the earliest that any vote could possibly happen would be our spring town meeting in March. So what we will be doing in the meantime, and the reason we're trying to reach out now, is to present a comprehensive plan that if the Board of Selectmen do ultimately decide that South Union School is not in the town's overall picture of facilities moving forward, that one, we have temporary space that meets the needs of the department so that no operations are sacrificed. And two, and this is where I think the opportunity is for both you and recreation, is designing a space that meets your future needs, like well into the future. So if you kind of look back at public safety, right, what they went from to what they're in now, that building obviously is more than what they need right this second, but they're hopefully going to grow into the building over a 50-year time period. The goal would be the same for all other town departments that weren't police or fire, is what do you need over the next 10 to 15 years, maybe more, and how do we combine, facilities? How do we take advantage potentially of facilities that aren't in our inventory right now, and think through that. So really, no one's going to be moving anywhere if this were to even move forward for about a year, right? It would take, right, by the time you actually get a vote at town meeting, assuming it passes, there's obviously a legal process that goes involved with any sort of sale of real estate, but we're just trying to stay ahead of it. I think Sarah very well articulated the needs of the department, the needs for privacy, and the certain space. And to the extent we get to exploring temporary space, like if we feel this thing has momentum, and I would say that the train has definitely left the station. We haven't heard anyone come yelling and screaming, no, this is an awful idea. Because candidly, this is how, any proceeds from the sale would help pay for some of the things the town just is going to have to do and lessen the tax burden to all of us. So the train has definitely left the station. I don't know where it's going to go because ultimately it's who shows up at town meeting to vote. But we would involve Sarah and her team in any temporary space discussions so that, let's just say we were going to tour XYZ location as a temporary space for 2 to 3 years while we work through the permanent plan. She would have a say and be able to come back to you and say, wow, this space really makes sense, or no, this space doesn't make sense and here's why. And like, we're doing the same thing. I've gone to the rec commission meeting, we've met with Tim and he's done the same thing. We're going to pull him along. The reason I say 2 to 3 years is we're looking at a lot of different buildings and how to multi-purpose some of the buildings. You probably have heard rumblings around the Woodward School and what the space needs capacities are of the school. That is something we're working through, but something that's going to take years, right? As we think about the school population, what's the right mix of schools we have in Southborough, and anyone that drives up and down Route 9 knows there's also a lot of space available there. And, there are departments that, right, there may be already soundproof offices in there for businesses, right? So we're trying to be creative, open to any ideas that are brought forward to us, and also do things in a fiscally responsible manner. And the reason this all came about is we were looking at the operating expenses of what it takes to house those two departments in that building every year, from like just heat, electricity, and then also looking at the next 5 years of what needs to be done to keep that building from being structurally like deficient. So
Right.
that's kind of the background. That's where we're at. Obviously, a lot more conversation to occur, but we're trying to get all the stakeholders at the table so that everyone knows where we're at on this journey.
Great.
Thank you. Do you have any ideas for temporary? Like, is there anything that you have in your head about where to move them?
I would say the most likely, and this is just me speaking, because we haven't, this is probably our next step once we see what the appraisal comes back at, is office space along Route 9, right? So a building that's already built out as an office.
Okay.
And or possible portion of a school.
Okay.
But obviously we're not going to go down that road till we get beyond the pandemic that we're all living through.
Right.
But that is part of the conversation, is we have asked the school to weigh in on, do they have excess space now once we get through the pandemic and everyone's back to working in an office space like normal. And I know Sarah kind of outlined and used that as one of her possible, I'll call it assumptions. I think that's a working model that we're working through right now. And the schools, to be fair to them, they're just coming to the table with us now. We've tried to be really considerate of everything they're dealing with. But they're discussing tomorrow night, and then capital is really, moving forward full steam with the school starting in our meeting on Friday.
Gotcha.
Great. Well, I really appreciate, your consideration of our needs. And I know that the idea of having us in a school has come up before, and that's why I used that as an example as to what the challenges would be in having us in a school. But, again, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. So does anybody have any?
If it was in a school, it really wouldn't be any different than being in a private office, right? The department wouldn't become part of the school system. We would just be using their space.
Yeah, what my concern that I expressed to Jason in the email I sent was that if we are sharing an entrance and sharing bathrooms, I would have concerns about the confidentiality for our clients, but I also think that the schools, from their perspective, might be concerned about the safety of kids having, because we have adult clients coming in who are not associated with the school at all. So that's just an added consideration, but again, not something we need to discuss at length until we get to that place. But
and I think if you think about like Southborough Access Media and how they have their dedicated space now at Trotter, it would have to be dedicated locked off space, because we'd be talking about recreation in the same conversation.
Right.
Because obviously we don't want whoever's visiting you having access to the schools, et cetera. So there would probably have to be some capital invested into a temporary, that's all part of the equation of how this all plays out.
Great.
And definitely both departments would be put together somewhere again. Recreation and youth and family would be in the same building. Or not necessarily.
Yeah, I don't think necessarily. But
I don't want to guarantee that, but it's certainly our goal, candidly, to bring youth and family, recreation, and the Council on Aging and Senior Center all together at the end of this.
Okay.
By the time we get, it may be more, right? But that's the ultimate goal, is how to creating that sense of community center. That term has been thrown around a little bit as well. So that's the ultimate goal, but that's not something we're going to see in the next 2 to 3 years.
Okay.
Yeah, okay,
Great. I guess something to think about.
yeah.
I
Does
guess
anybody
that,
else? Oh, go ahead.
I guess that also explains why you're talking about this in 2 stages, or at least 2 stages, a temporary location and then an ultimate location, because I was a little confused about that and had expressed concern about moving unnecessarily more times than they needed to, just because it will be
Yeah.
disruptive.
Yeah, I don't think we want to take the option off the table if we get the right deal as a town, right? And I think we're in a really good environment to be selling real estate that could be used as housing, right? I think that's the most likely repurpose of South Union School. So we don't want to take that option off the table just until we figure out a final solution. There are conditions that would have to come about if we were to use Woodward School, if we were to repurpose office space. Obviously, everything would take time, right? So just the timing of how you structure a transaction, we want to keep that open-ended as long as possible. And then obviously if there's a really good temporary space, it makes the idea of having to move twice probably, less of an issue. But that's why I think the feedback loop needs to be, consistent here. And it's my job to keep Sarah and Sue updated, and then they can bring it back to the commission. And likewise, I have to do that with historical, I have to do that with recreation. But I think if we do that, then when all of us have to actually vote, hopefully there's a consensus as opposed to, 2 sides.
Great. Any other questions or comments?
Would you mind coming to other meetings in the future, maybe to our meetings to kind of update us?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
that
what
would be
I'll
great.
do, so what I'll do is if I have a pertinent update, I'll just let you and Sarah know, and you can add me to your agenda and we can figure out where I slot in. And then obviously all of you probably have an interest in more broadly what's going on in town. Follow our agendas as well if something's really of interest to you, because we're obviously talking about things far beyond South Union School at this point. So there's just really some really interesting stuff that we're tackling right now. So
Yeah, that's great.
Wonderful.
Okay. Well,
All
Jason, thank you so much for your time and for joining us.
anytime. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Jason. Thank
care.
Have a
you.
good one.
You too. Bye-bye. Okay. Oh, my dog is dreaming in the background. He just barks in his sleep. He's not a bark. He does not bark, so it kind of scared me. We didn't have anything else on the agenda unless there's any other business which shall properly come before the board. Does anyone have anything?
I just have one thing I wanted to share. We were talking about the uptick in mental health issues due to COVID. And I recently, I was trying to find the article, but it's from the CDC, and they just released mental health, substance use, suicidal ideation during the COVID-19 pandemic. They did a big survey, and it's a sober read, to tell you the truth. So, but I think it really summarizes kind of where everybody stands. Basically, the 5,400 people they surveyed said that 40% said they suffered from anxiety or depression, and 10% of the population, had considered suicide. So I think we are dealing with a serious shadow pandemic, and I think we need to be very creative in how we reach our community that might be in need. So
certainly, if you guys have, well, all I'll add to that, guys, if you know, because we're only 3 people and we're pretty busy, as everybody is. But if you come across, you hear of something innovative, we started our talk show, which has been fun. And I don't know if anybody's tuned in. We actually talked about need-based services on the show today, which included the holiday giving program. And But, you know, so it's a very tricky time because we're here, we're eager, we're happy to help, and yet we can't actually easily access people. And so, you know, I know that there's some youth and family services who are meeting with people in their backyards, and some that are meeting in parks, and you know, every town is different in terms of what's allowable. And but so I appreciate, you know, you guys sort of being an extension of the department, and having antenna on for different ways that we can help support the community, because it's very challenging right now, because we know that people are in need, and we're available, and yet we have a hard time connecting the dots. So yes, on that note.
Challenging times we have upon us. Well, I'll give you an update when we meet again on the preschooler community
Oh, I
and
can't wait to hear.
working parents, yeah, and social distancing. And I'll try to figure out if they seem more mentally fragile or anxious, or I don't know. We don't get to see the parents that much because they have to drop them off in the parking lot. So.
Right.
Yeah, I have a senior in high school who does not talk a whole lot, but I can try to get some information out of maybe some of his friends for the next meeting as well.
Yeah. Or even if you read, you know, a newspaper article or see something on the news, or, you know, people have gotten very creative, and not everything translates to what we're able to do, but I think all of it's helpful to hear, you know, so.
Actually, one idea that my sister did in her church group was they had a outdoor well health peace vigil where you can stand. Yeah, they just had candles and played music, and everybody, you know, there was a speaker or two, but I think you'd have to keep a group, you know, group of 25 or less. But she said it was really her community have a sense of community without being close together, not in a Zoom environment. So
yeah.
we can powwow about things like that, but as you said, there's a lot of cool things going on. Okay.
Yeah, sounds good.
Weird things pop up.
I appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Oh, we appreciate you.
Guys.
All right, so do we need to adjourn this meeting officially at?
Officially adjourn. I move to adjourn the meeting.
I second
At
that.
whatever time it is, second.
Yes, whatever.
47. on my
Yikes.
computer.
All in favor?
I, Susan Butka.
Yes, Bumbacher, aye.
Hi, Sarah Micus.
I, Leslie Haddon.
Hi, Lauren Ritchie.
I think Susan said it also, but it was.
Oh, I did already, but I'll do it again. Bye.
Thank you, Bob.
All right, bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.